We are back with another round of Sister Scoop Marvel news this week. And I'd say we have three pretty big ones this week. Last week, a little lighter. This week, a lot more. The first one came out technically last week. We missed it by like a day from last week's Sister Scoop. So no worries, but we'll cover it now. And it's that Julia Garner is officially casted as the Silver Surfer in the next Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah. And I mean, realistically, I think we've talked about this in the past. That is the last big puzzle piece that we needed, understanding who the villain was of that story, because obviously, as we all know, and to much of my joy, we have our cast for the Fantastic Four. So now that we have our big five, if you will, I'm super excited, even more so. She is, from what I've heard, a fantastic actress. You guys may know her from Inventing Anna, Ozark, things like that. So she's definitely been out there doing some really killer work, and I think she's going to absolutely murder this role. So super excited. She is the female version of the Silver Surfer, which is cool because we're going to get, the Silver Surfer and the Fantastic Four are so tied together, but we're not going to get the same thing that we got in the early 2000s. So I love the little twist that Marvel's putting on it. And for anybody who wants to say anything about it being a female, it is true to the comics, so leave it alone and just stop being a turd. I'm going to get off my soapbox now, but that's it.
I liked it. I liked it. No, I haven't seen Inventing Anna. I believe it's Anna, not Anna.
Sorry.
Fully. Well, I wasn't so much correcting you as like, I think it's Anna, not Anna, but it's fine. I haven't seen it in full, but I do remember when it came out, there were a lot of clips of it all over Instagram and TikTok and everything else. And she was amazing in it. Like, she played that role very, very well. I'm excited for her to join the MCU officially. I also just in general, I think it's super cool that she's going to be playing this other version of the Silver Surfer. We've seen already a male version of it, a different character. And on top of that, while this is all connected, this Fantastic Four is not supposedly in our universe anyway. So this is even cooler to me that we're seeing a completely different version because we are not supposed to be in 616.
Yeah, which I hate and love, but that's a whole nother episode as we get closer to the Fantastic Four, because as y'all know, we have a very, very tight timeline on these Sister Scoop episodes. So we're going to go right into our second piece of news, which is that the father of Marvel himself, other than our good Kevin Feige, Mr. Robert Downey Jr., recent Oscar winner, says that he would absolutely come back to Marvel. I feel wishy-washy on this. One, I love that he loves it. I love that he recognizes that this was the beginning of the renaissance of his career. I love that that is something that he fully recognizes. But he had the perfect send-off. He did exactly what he needed to do. It perfectly completed his character's arc. That's basically what Kevin has come out and said. We're never going to redo it because why would you ever touch it? So while he's happy to come back, I don't know where he fits.
That's a good point. I have also seen a lot of that all over. I think every semi major Marvel news or comic or anybody in the realm of this have been talking about it. I love it for RDJ. To your point, this was the renaissance of the start of the second half of his career, coming back, making the big comeback. And he did it phenomenally, of course. I mean, look at it. He has 10 years riding on his back, essentially. But yeah, where does he fit in? Where do we really bring RDJ back into this that's not overdoing or overstepping where we left off with him?
Yeah, I will definitely be curious to see if this comes to anything or if it's just him, giving his flowers to the organization that really helped him get back into the acting world in a really meaningful way. I don't know. The multiverse is a thing. I get it. Maybe it's a cameo. Does that cheapen his death? I don't know. You tell me. That varies to me day by day. I don't know how I feel about that. Is he
Yeah.
just going to show up, for 10 seconds? At that point, kind of leave him alone. But also, I don't want him back because our Tony did what he needed to do. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other, two sides of the same coin. I'm just going to keep throwing metaphors out that not all of them totally fit. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, our excuse to everything is, well, the multiverse is open. Like, technically, it could happen, it could work. I think, if anything, bring him back for Secret Wars. Let us see a different version of Iron Man. It would be weird to not have an Iron Man at all in Secret Wars. Let's be real. We have a lot of different universes colliding to create Battle World. If I don't see an Iron Man, I'm going to be like, that was just strange. And Lord knows, politely, I don't want Tom Cruise. So let's bring RDJ back for that if we're going to. He can play a variant of himself. Let him play a different type of Tony. Just like Doctor Strange, Benedict Cumberbatch gets to play all sorts of different versions of himself. Let's see a different version of Tony. Maybe, what is it? Immortal? It's something like that.
Oh, I know who you mean. I can't think of the name, but I know
Yeah,
what you
he
mean.
was the one. He's part of the Illuminati, and that was the
Yeah.
whole thing with MOM. Let him play that version. That's supposed to be kind of like an evil type version of Iron Man, kind of Iron Man gone rogue on his own. So,
which is funny because that's what they did with Doctor Strange in that Illuminati set anyway.
right, exactly. So let him play that version. I would like him to come back in that capacity, and then when he doesn't have to reprise the role again. But I think, to your point, a 10-second cameo, what's the point? That's a waste to me. If he
Yeah.
wants to come back, let him do it in the right way.
Agreed. Now, moving on to our last topic, which is reaching its close, not totally closed yet, but it's one that we've been following, as you know, for the better part of a year now, which is the Jonathan Majors trial, resolution, all of that. So the verdict has been reached. He's going to be doing basically counseling around domestic violence for the next year instead of facing jail time. I mean, I'm not really surprised given his high profile, who he is. He is appealing though, so we'll see. At this point, if I'm him, I'm just gonna, talk about my opinion here. If I'm him, I'm like, great, this is the best case scenario considering I decided to go for trial. Let me just do this, therapy is not quite the right word, but it's in that kind of, vein. Let me go do this for a year, live my life, and then maybe he makes a comeback if that's what it seems like that's what he's trying to do, is find a way to get back into acting. Let's just do that. But I don't know that I feel that going for an appeal is the right way to go. I mean, that just seems kind of aggressive to me. So, I mean, he is really stuck to his guns for his innocence on this one. And I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of on the same page. I actually didn't realize he was appealing. I had only seen all the news break about him getting the year of counseling. Um, Again, I kind of am in the same boat. If it was me, I'd be like, cool, I don't actually have to go to jail, which, first and foremost, I would probably celebrate for committing a crime and then not having to go to jail. I don't know. Just my thoughts. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting either way. I mean, we're not going to see him back with Marvel. I'm not sure what projects he was a part of that will bring him back. We'll be kind of keeping track of it, I guess, as the time goes on to see what happens with him, as we've been covering this for over a year now since the news initially broke.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely will be interesting to follow the trajectory of the rest of his career if he's even able to have one. I think if this had been 10 years ago, that's a different conversation because we were not having, as a society, the same important conversations about protecting women and, really holding men accountable for domestic violence violations and things like that. So I will be curious to see how quickly, if at all, Hollywood embraces him again, or at least allows him back into the fold. I think that's something that I'll definitely be keeping my eye on in the coming probably year to 3 as he tries to make his comeback.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. We'll continue to kind of stay on it because while he is no longer with Marvel, still a huge change between us having to cover the whole Kang question mark thing in general. So we will definitely stay up with it. But in the meantime, this has been this week's Sister Scoop. Make sure you guys are subscribing on our YouTube so you guys can see them every week. And we will see you guys next week for another round of Marvel news.